podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, great afternoon, great night, wherever the hell you may be on our planet. Yes, my brain is fried, but I really do hope everyone is having a great time out there in our world. I know since we spanned every time zone there is, I always find it interesting when we're talking. As far as I know, this show goes out to every country in the world, has for probably about 10 years now. I don't think there's any exception to the rules. We know this show goes to North Korea. I could actually tell you right now, if I wanted to take the time to go look, how many people were listening to us in North Korea. I don't think they're watching us. I mean, I can't tell if they are. Things like Roku and Fire Stick, they give me demographics, but they don't so much give me, so they'll tell me, oh, it's in this country, but it doesn't really say if they're watching TV or video, or I guess it just depends what venue I'm looking at them on. But for the most part, it's radio, even though we're getting a pretty good TV audience these days. 50,000, 100,000. So it's getting better. It's got a long ways to go before it's monetizable. I mean, for big advertisers, but for stuff like we're getting ready to start doing in the future, it's actually doing quite well. So welcome to UFO Undercover. I see we got Jay joined us just a few minutes ago. Jay Nichols, how you doing, Jay?
Pretty good. Busy. It was really rough at work, but I'm here now.
I can imagine, man, but I hit me crazy all over lately.
Yeah, it's spring, and we're picking 2,000 and 3,000 things for our shift, so that's a lot of items to grab.
Oh, I imagine people spending money. Even though I keep hearing on the news the economy sucks, but we'll talk about that on Friday. But still,
and well, wait till Elon sends us that $5,000 or $6,000 he's promising.
Elon. No, we don't endorse or did not endorse Elon Musk on this show. I'm sorry. Unless he's an alien, they keep saying he's a reptilian. If that's the case, then we'll have to endorse him.
They keep saying we're the aliens, like we came from Mars and whatnot,
That's right. Somebody got to get their shit together, because science apparently is not as smart as it used to be. And actually, in all fairness, I like to pick on science, but I have a bachelor's in science. I'm a big geek. I believe in the scientific method. I just know from personal experience and people I know that science is wrong more than it's right, which is happens with a lot of things, and a lot of discoveries are found by accident. They're not, actually big scientific discoveries. They were found by accident. Name one. Penicillin.
Electricity.
Which we'd like to. There's quite a few of them if you want to go through them all, but maybe we'll schedule a show maybe maybe we'll do that with the O parts. Maybe we'll do a show on things that were discovered accidentally in O parts. We'll do it in the same show. We'll do the first hour. We'll do that, and the second hour we'll do O parts. How's that, guys? A couple of weeks. Well, next week's gonna be the last week. I'll probably stop in a week after and check on Jay just to say hi. But being it's on a Wednesday, there's a lot that goes on in LA on Wednesday, so it makes it hard for me to hit the show.
Yeah, you will be in Los Angeles in a little bit.
I don't know what day they're doing the barbecue, but it's usually on Wednesdays. If that's the case, I'll be at Arthur Services at the barbecue, chilling out with everybody, getting some good video, getting some good conversation, and getting some good audio in. Yes. Yes, Jackie, I'll be there for 9 days. I'm gonna be these shows. Jay's in charge of all these shows. The only one I'll be probably in is Arthur Quill, and that's if John and I can do it because we both usually are pretty busy on that Saturday. So it's kind of weird on this one. There's going to be 2 Saturdays. I'm going to be there the Saturday before
Yeah,
and the Saturday.
you might want to just throw up a couple of. You might want to get just a couple of replays ready for that, just in case. You know?
Well, it just depends what we're doing because I mean, what day I leave? I can't remember what day I leave now. But anyway, sometimes we'll catch some interviews like that Saturday. We might have some live interviews on the first Saturday when we get there, but on the second Saturday, usually we're just worried about getting home, getting out, getting on an airplane, stuff like that. It's been a long week. A lot of stuff went on. Got lots of stuff to go through, so it's usually busy. But anyway, tonight I really wanted to get into some of what's that, Kirby? What are you talking about? Speak them English, man. And you're in text, and I still don't know what the hell you're talking about. Oh, no. That's what, okay. You should just put extraterrestrials in that, then I wouldn't know what the hell you were talking about. No, we're going to be talking about things like, do extraterrestrials really come to Earth and take people? And is there any real proof to that? We'll also be talking a little bit about the Greys, reptilians, and the humans, just to give people a kind of understanding. Here's a weird picture. Hold on, where am I? Let me get out of here right quick. Come on, let me out of here. Okay, so behind Jay and I, let me remove Jay and I. Can I remove it, Joe? Jay, take yourself out.
Yeah, you did it once before. I don't remember how you did it. I think it's this one.
No, it's one of these. Well, that works. That's good enough. Okay, so what do y'all think that is? What could that be, huh? They look good, whatever they are. They got the big gray eyes. Boy, they got some good lips, though, and a good nose, which Greys don't generally have.
Yeah, I think the lips are too pronounced on those. Definitely the nose is too pronounced. The eyes are too small. The head is it's off. It's not quite elliptical enough. It's not quite right.
So, Jesse, they could be hybrids. I guess anything can be a hybrid. Okay, we can't just go around. How the hell I get there like that? Why is Jay behind me? That is just weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
Okay, that's what. Anyway, well, these kind of pictures, and there's a lot of these out there that are renderings of different things. So, the person who said they saw this said they saw these were hybrids. These were alien human hybrids. They couldn't be left on Earth because, of course, they look like that. So, and I imagine they have pronounced abilities as well. So before we get started, before anybody even asks me, no. The Greys are not trying to make hybrids out of themselves. They're making hybrids out of us. In other words, they're not trying to up their evolution through us. That's not what they're trying to do. That would be de-evolution for them. So if they're going to up their evolution, they'll have to get like the light beams and maybe somebody else in the galaxy that we don't know about, or maybe somebody from a neighboring galaxy, but not us. I mean, I don't know how far we are behind them. People say the Greys can live pretty much indefinitely, and they're saying the species over 1 billion years old. So I don't, no telling.
I think there's I don't know if it's an Air Force report or a Navy report, but somewhere in the 80s or 90s, they had the report on how far advanced they thought the UFO technology was, and I think they said at least 1,000 years. But I think that's an underestimate.
Because I don't think they could estimate any higher than 1,000.
Yeah, I think we're probably at least for the reptilians. I'd say they're at least 50,000 years ahead of us. At least that far.
They and that's okay. So when I was talking with John Glenn and Edgar Mitchell at the Washington Press Club, along with a couple other people actually.
I have John Glenn's autograph actually, as a matter of fact.
He's actually a very nice guy. And anyway, we're all sitting around talking about this, things like why would they be interested in us? Why would they be coming here? What could they possibly look like? How advanced could they possibly be? So Edgar looks over and he goes, well, because I had been talking about something earlier in the night. And he goes, Joe's probably right. He said, when you start thinking about technologies where there's nothing connected to it, but it works, you got to think 100,000 years at least. or more, which is probably close to a good accuracy, because we're talking about technologies that you can walk up to a console and push stuff, but there's nothing connected to anything. It's all working, and I don't even think it's working through the airways. I'm not even sure how it works. It's almost like you're the power for the damn thing.
Well, Tesla. I mean, I don't know how their stuff works in space, but on a planet, Tesla's devices required the ground. It doesn't work without the Earth, the transmitted wirelessly. You need the wire or so you need something, some kind of wire going through the ground. I think as a ground. I forget what the one guy that's with the deep Southern accent, who's a physicist that shows up on Ancient Aliens once in a while. He described it, and I still don't understand why you need a wire to transmit wireless, but there's a wire around with Tesla coils, but it transmits. I don't know how it works, but that's what they need is the core of the planet as part of the transmission system.
Well, I would think that, but we know that we transmit all over space and everywhere else, and on the space station, none of that's connected to Earth. And we're getting transmissions out now from away as 2 light years. So I mean, I don't know exactly how it all works. I mean, it does seem. Who the hell's calling me? Sorry, guys. My phone just it's on vibrate, so I'm dancing around on top of something. It's kind of weird. But I mean, I don't know how all of this technology works, because in a lot of ways, the Greys seem to be connected through nothing. I mean, they don't seem to be anything. I mean, it's them connected to the ship. Oh, are you like the Queen of Sheba or some shit? I like that background back there. Okay, it was better the other way. Now it's just scary. Now I'm thinking of freaking alien, man. Now where was I before she scared me like that? You know, I'm old. I keep telling you, keep scaring me like that. Next life around.
Yeah, you were discussing the power systems.
So I'm kind of wondering. What the hell is that? I'm kind of wondering how that's going to work. I mean, so when they describe the inside of a ship, we're not talking about the gray ship. When they describe like a human or reptilians, if you're laying around or you're underneath something, you can see there's nothing. So I said, well, maybe there's some kind of pole or something going down from the thing to the ground, the pedestal but there's not. So I said, well, it's attached to the wall, right? I mean, it is attached to the wall.
In the gray ship that they gave to, I think it was Bismarck, who was chancellor before Hitler. Anyway, whoever was in charge of Germany, the device they had has a rod, according to Bob Lazar, that goes from the top all the way to the 3rd level, and that's where the reactor is, where you put the chips. And he said
it must be one of the old designs too.
Through that metal, whatever it was that went through the ship, it transmitted electricity throughout the vehicle.
So in that vehicle, what I would think was that they didn't give us the vehicle to learn how to fly. Obviously, we couldn't anyway because we crashed the damn thing. I think they gave us the vehicle to learn how to do power. Maybe they were trying to teach us how to build a reactor on our planet. And oh no, this is speculation, John, before you even say anything, dude. This is sheer speculation we're in right now. So, I mean, we have a reactor. We have a ship with a reactor that we know pretty much. We can see it. We got a good view of it. We kind of understand it. And we know for sure this is one of the Greys' older ships because their new ships seem to work on a different concept, mainly because they're alive. The ship Jay and I are talking about right now is not a ship that's alive. The ship it may have some kind of AI life in it, but in general,
it may have an artificial computer in it.
But when you hear Jay and I talking about live ships and even Leah, we're talking about physically live craft.
My hair is so limp. I need to get a little trim to give it a boost of life. Oh, sorry.
Yes, dyed purple. It's
purple's a good color.
Purple's a good color. I'm saying that.
No, my hair is turning gray, and everyone keeps telling me that it's like not to dye it.
Oh, well, tell them bite you. That's what I tell them, bite you. Anyway, where were we before? Somebody got me confused again.
My bad.
Again, talking with aliens again.
So I think so. Really, truly, there's a couple things where we can get out of the craft that we originally got.
Yeah,
It's probably a power supply.
One thing.
And remember, so the Roswell, because that wasn't called back then anyway. Whatever the Roswell, whatever the hell it was, they're the ones that put out the original article about the little microchip, which was about the size of a mini scan disc chip. That's what it looked like. And they also had fiber optics, which was obviously fiber optics. It was wire with light pieces in it. It was even still lit, even when it was disconnected from which means it had a capacitor built into it because it held power. And then they had what they would call what do they call it? Something aluminum where you can bend it and it replaces back to its shape. But it was like an aluminum.
Oh,
It
the
was almost like
elasticity of it.
yeah, he said it looked and felt like aircraft aluminum, but it just had the ability to bend and snap back in place or mold into something else and hold its shape.
Yeah,
I found that
Are you
interesting.
talking
And
about the metal found at the Roswell crash?
well, they call magic metal nowadays. There are two kinds. There's well, actually three kinds. There's the I beam that
the IB that was
young
found with
Jesse
the little
Russell
letters
Jr.
on it.
found, and he remembers it being, small like this, and you could not, but it felt like wood or balsa wood, but you couldn't snap it, you couldn't bend it, you couldn't burn it, you couldn't scratch it.
It's very light and very strong.
Then that's one of the metals. The other metal was what Joe describes as it's a springy metal with a memory retention. And then there's also the final one was it's like they described it as like the tinfoil you can take out of a cigarette package, but it's a square and you wrinkle it up and it turns into a ball like you would with the tinfoil. And then the tinfoil stays that way. But with this stuff, if you let go of it, it would drop down as a ball, and then appearing to move like liquid, most people said, it would become a square again, or whatever shape it was that they found. It was torn off of the main vessel. But again, it's a type of tinfoil. Everyone says tinfoil, and you sprinkle it up, you let go of it, and it turns to a liquid and goes back into the shape that it was before you wrinkled it up. And then it's
all three of these now we possess in our science now today. So
the third
so we did get that out of it.
And you can get it.
Yeah. So all of this stuff we have today, we have super light metals composites actually that are stronger than steel and are very light. And then a lot of them now you can even have chain shape, and you can hold them in a shape for X amount of time and they'll stay in that shape. But then there's a way to release the shape. Some of this stuff is very advanced, very interesting. So it's going to be really cool for the future, especially
there's another polymer also. I don't know if this came off of this ship, but is anyone familiar with the TV movie? It was a possible premiere or possible starter for a TV show. The premise was called Exo Man, and it was Dan Aykroyd's younger brother, David. And he was in control. He invented this plastic that if you applied electricity to it, it would become rigid and strong, and whatever shape you formed it in, and with the electricity, it would retain that shape. And then if you turn the electricity off to it, it would become soft and flexible. But when it was hard, it was, like nothing could hurt it, like bullets from nothing. That sounds kind of similar to what we're describing, but it's a plastic. So I'd imagine a lot of our polymers, our latest plastics, are also technology gleaned from these spaceships.
I don't know. We got a lot of stuff out of it, but I really think originally it was they figured when they gave it to Germany. Germany was the most advanced country on the planet at the time. They said, okay, look, we're going to give you a way to power the world. And Germany had some good ideas back then. We didn't know they were going to go all crazy and start World War I and World War II, and the aliens really didn't either. So that tells you they can't really see that far ahead in the future.
Well, how do we know that? We don't know that the aliens didn't say, "Oh, here's a good power source for you." What if they said, "Take this and make some weapons and go conquer the world, and we'll see you in about 10 years"?
But that's not really what they did. Because the weapons they used were not all that more advanced than anything else. Anybody else? They were a little faster than everybody else, like with jets and rockets and stuff. But it was still standard, what I call earthly technology.
Not to really not to honor.
Not that
Germany,
they weren't trying.
let's just do. They were the first to start a world war. They were the first to use machine guns. They were the first to use um, hand grenades.
First use jets.
They were the first to use jets. They
First
were the
use
first to use rockets. They weren't the first to use chemical weapons. That was done way back even in Greek and Roman times. But many of the first of the
Poison in the
modern day
well.
weapons we have today, Germany invented those.
It's
The almost all modern automatic.
That's what I'm saying. That you would give it would be like giving it to the Japanese or something. Back then, Japanese weren't where Germany was, but today's world, I mean, you might want to give it to them instead because they really can take anything and expand it, make it better. They might not be the best inventors in the world, but they sure are the best. Let me make this son of a bitch 5 times better and 5 times cheaper than it was before. So that's always a big plus. I don't know. I mean, it does seem like they were trying to give us power. I think Germany, of course, abused it, tried to turn it into something else. The United States got hold to it. I don't think the United States even thought about it for power. I think the United States has thought about it as weapons and stuff. And
I think Germany did too.
You know what's so funny about it is I don't even think the stupid Americans even knew there was an escape pod or a shuttle on this thing. Whatever crashed at Mac Brazel's Ranch, I don't think they even knew it was on board the craft until after the damn thing crashed. Because they would have already took that out and took it apart, because that would have been something they could have took apart. So that always did bother me, because I was like, well, man, this is something y'all could have took apart. Why didn't you take it apart? Because you didn't know it was there, probably. It was probably encased somewhere you couldn't get into. But from what I heard, everybody said the same thing when it came to this craft. It was finally... when there was a gray that showed up and actually opened the craft for them at Area 51. He said, look, you never, because what the problem was is it didn't matter what we did, it was not going to identify to human DNA. That's why the Germans could never get in the damn thing. No one ever gave them the key code to convert it to where human DNA would work with it. That didn't happen until after, until they came and they crashed the damn thing. I just want to know why the Greys thought the humans. I guess maybe they were giving us more credit than they thought. They said, "Okay, these humans have enough telepathy power; they can fly this craft." Obviously, somebody was not right. Well, James, all the craft I know of, even the reptilians and humans, have some telepathy part to the craft. Even us today.
Also, if we're talking about the sport craft that's also described by Bob Lazar. Now, there were several control stations which he did not describe, but they have been described in what was it, the alien autopsy at the end of that video. They allegedly show some control panels with 6-fingered hand control panels, by the way, which I think is wrong for the aliens that gave the device we're talking about. Anyway, this device has 6-panel finger holds. It's like finger silhouette.
So wait, stop right there. Stop. So think about this before we go on, because we may have made a mistake here. Yeah. So we know that the human aliens were in touch with Hitler. We also know they were in touch with Germany. We're pretty sure that's who gave that craft to the Germans, was the human aliens. Well, they are 6-fingered. So did they build this craft? Was this actually one of their craft, or was it something taken and customized for them? I'm just asking because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And now when I think back about it, because when I think back about it,
they are 6 fingers, but they're weird, and they also it's kind of like their if you don't mind the Star Trek parlance, it's their manual override, if you will, but it still requires mental capacity, because you put your hands in these like print things on the panel, and then there's little dots or buttons along the way, 1, 2, 3, like on the fingers and down the palm. So you must contact your brain through physical contact also in order to control it. So we don't have that ability, no matter how hybrided we are.
It's not yet. We don't anyway. Give us some time.
We can't send electrical. We can't. I mean, allegedly Spock, when he would give you the Vulcan neck pinch, he wasn't just squeezing you really hard on a nerve. He was sending impulses from his brain into your brain to knock you out.
Well, I tell you what, I made Leah so mad one day she made me hover over my bed. It's crazy. I knew she
was doing what?
Yeah, Got it on videotape too. It's but
Nice.
anyway, no, yeah, it's on. Actually, it's on Facebook somewhere. It's on the page where I'm wearing my glasses. My hair's down. That's where it's at. Not even that
What
far
was it
back.
doing?
Not. I was hovering. You had me hovering because I made you mad. I made you really mad too that day. Sure, those little
So,
bleep, bleep. I can't even
talking
use that
about
language on the show.
technology,
Hmm.
does alien craft have, right? I remember the first time we met, one of the first times you had me on the show, you had said that one of the ways that I was being communicated with was through remotely, through like a remote holographic um, image, that what I was believed what I was standing in front of was actually something that was being projected.
Those aren't that hard to figure out either, because when you're somewhere physically, but you're seeing something else, of course, that's something else physically somewhere else. Okay, you can't be in two places at one time. Well, you probably could if you had advanced physics, but we don't. So we can really only be at one place at one time. So really, what it comes down to is you're somewhere wherever you are, sitting in bed, laying, sitting on a chair, sitting on the floor. It doesn't really matter. Once your mind releases, it's like the Matrix. Wherever you think it is, whatever you see, is just as real as the place you're at the same time, except you're not actually there.
Well, that's exactly what reality is what your eyes, ears, nose, all those 5, 6 main senses. That's what tells you what is real and what is not.
So we call them non-physical abductions, is what we call them. It's something that took a while to figure out because we were getting these physical abductions, and we were getting these abductions where they would bring them in and put them in this hologram room. It's like we're uploaded to a body, basically, is what they were doing. And then we were getting these things where it sounded like they were in hologram, but they weren't actually leaving the place they were at. So we were like, well, wait. So it was like the hologram was in the head, or the hologram room was in the head, because you weren't by yourself. There was other people in it, and other live people in it. It's crazy. It's actually what I really think it is. I think it's like the Gray's head itself is like the hologram room for that particular thing. And I think that's how they merge them all together. They allow them all into their head, and they can control the whole scene. Which also tells you how advanced those SOBs are. Way more advanced than anything we can think of. And I know some pretty good telepaths, man. I know some pretty good, I've been doing this a long time, so I know some really good telepaths. And none of them at that kind of rate. Ain't none of them at that rate. They're as good as some of them are. They're not going to pull anything like that. And we know the government's been picking them up and sucking them up any chance they get. And they're paying them good, too. I know 2 people went to work for them. They're paying them really, really good. You'd be surprised how much they're paying them. Lisa May Jr., whatever kind of crazy name that is. No, they. I'll tell you this: they pay them almost 7 figures a year. I can tell you
Paying
that.
who for what?
Psychics, telepaths. Actually, I'm sorry, not psychics. Because if you got the real skill, so let's say you're one of Trump's aides, and you're very telepathic, and you go everywhere he goes. You ever see the movie Dune and those witches that the Emperor used to use? Kind of same thing. So let's say you got somebody who's very telepathic. And I'm gonna be honest with you. When I go to conferences and all, I always make 2, 3, or 4 of my telepath friends are with me, and I'll tell you later on about why. But other people, this has been something that's been going on since telepaths have known to exist. So you bring them with you. So that way you're introducing, oh, this is President Poop, or this is President Xi, or this is Emperor such and such, or this is Prime Minister such and such, just as Mr. Pink Shorts. So first thing they're doing is looking into their heads.
Pink Shorts.
And whatever that person's thinking about Trump, he's thinking right, or she's thinking right then and there. This telepath is just absorbing it. And it's all going in their head to tell Trump after the meeting, or even during the meeting. They might even have signals on how to know that certain things are going on. Telepaths have been around a long time. We just don't have telekinesis yet, but we got telepathy, and it's getting
There's
better and
evidence.
better.
There is some good video, and I've seen a live presentation of telekinesis being performed, but it's not easy. No one at the table but the guy who did the demonstration was able to make anything move. But we were also shown how to do remote viewing by the same guy, and like almost everybody got it right, which was the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced in my life. So the abilities are there. It's just I don't know how they're turned off, but it's like someone literally flick the switch. They're there. We can use them. We just don't. Someone's put a block.
Well, I don't necessarily know if they're there. I think they have to be.
I think they're there. They're just.
I think
turned
they
off
have
or
to be.
blocked.
No, because if first off, I know everybody don't have them because we've already tested for that. So
not everybody. I know I have.
But what I mean by that is I think that you have to develop it in your brain. So it's not necessarily that it's turned off. You're turned off, not it. Meaning that you've been taught your whole life that this shit does not exist. These things cannot be done. And you get to a point where your brain just cannot reverse that. You're just stuck in it. It's why it's important for young kids to learn about it fast. But our society really doesn't allow for that. Well, telepath is one thing, empath is another thing, but even that is still very sketchy in our society. Not all over the whole world, but in our society, unfortunately.
So how do you differentiate between somebody who's technically actually really, telepathic or has these abilities and somebody who believes it so much, but they're actually just
because I would look at them right now and say, what am I talking about? What am I thinking? And if they could tell me what I was thinking, I would know they were telepathic.
If you remember the beginning of Ghostbusters, Bill Murray is in the labs up there, offices on the campus, and he has a series of cards that he holds up, and he asks the two subjects to guess what's on the card. And the one guy is getting them right with negative, reinforcement, and the other one is not. So his experiment is actually starting to come together, and he's ignoring it because he's only doing this to get the pretty girl into bed. But that's one of the tests. Those cards.
Is Bill Murray trying to get the girl?
Yeah, but the cards is what I'm talking about. The cards and using negative reinforcement. If you get the answer wrong, you get shocked in the hopes that next time you get it right. That's one of the tests, but they also have like the Rorschach test, the ink blots. There are a range of mental tests they can give you. Then they'll say that whether you're inclined towards telepathy or not.
I'm probably so incredibly average and normal that I wouldn't even hit the.
I just seen a gray pop up behind you, man. That little gray.
Have you ever had a intelligence quotient test?
So I mean, not what it goes anywhere off of the standardized, testing that was being done. I don't think so. My teachers always told my mom that I needed to be in gate.
So a better question is, do you know information before you read it?
I have had hunches about things, but I haven't focused personally myself on any of that kind of stuff in so long. I feel like I've been so far ahead of the curve that I've kind of just circled back around, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. But you got to be willing, as you're willing to learn, you got to be willing to teach too. So there's always somebody ahead of you, and there's always somebody behind you.
Well, I'm very solitary.
Yeah, so get unsolitary.
I don't communicate with other people.
So one of the worst things a contactee can do to themselves is not be talking to people. There's too much going on in your head not to be talking.
How many listeners do you think we have right now, Joe?
How
many listeners do you think overall we have right now?
UFO Undercover rarely does under 3 million, so.
I think it's pretty normal to be an isolated and antisocial person.
Well, that's the thing. You're not. You're right now. You're talking to 3 million people.
I'm talking to Jay and I'm talking to Joe.
and 3 million listeners.
3
3
other
million
million
other
people.
people are hearing you in this conversation. Not all of them are going to talk back, but there are a few in the chat rooms that will.
Yes.
So,
See, and I just kind of put that out of my mind. I don't think about those kinds of
But the
things.
point is that those people, because you know what the name of the show is, you know, the show's been around for what, 25 years. So you know what they're coming here for. And they're coming here to learn about what kind of contact this could be, what kind of abductions go on, why do even abductions even happen? Why with an advanced alien species, especially as advanced as we've been talking about tonight, even have an interest in us? I mean, they can't have any more interest in us than we do in the apes.
It's not just us, A, and B, whatever it is they're looking for, they're not looking for it with just our species.
So could it have anything to do with the fact that, you know, the world is like slowly coming to some, I don't know, like the storylines that people talk about, you know, the fact that I keep hearing over and over, we're just in the bad storyline.
No, we're not in any storyline. We're just cruising. So this is what we're really doing. People, if y'all listen, I'll give all y'all help with the planetary life right now. So most people, especially Americans, Europeans, and people in those kind of like minds, are cruising through life right now. They're just cruising. They're on cruise control. Because nobody really knows what's going to go on. There's not all that much you can do right now to change the directions you're headed in. There's bigger forces at work, but not the kind of forces that are here to wipe us out or destroy us. Everything on this planet wants to live, including Putin and Xi Jinping. Even Kim Jong-un wants to live. So, I mean, they're not thinking, oh, let's kill everybody on the planet. But they're thinking
about, let's get rid of those people.
Yeah, well, they you know. So, yes, we're just cruising along. It's like I said, like we're on autopilot. We're on auto cruise.
Yeah.
So the aliens are just here kind of going, well, wow, isn't this interesting just watching this species cruise along? Because, you know, we've gone from in 100 years basically to paddling boats to having stealth ships.
But I don't think that's the reason why they're here. I don't think they're here because
no, that's not why we're here. But that's part because they were here before all of that. The
reason we're here is because they effed up really bad somewhere and destroyed 4 planets.
I don't think they effed up. I think they created us. I have no doubt that
I know they created us, but I think they created us after they destroyed the 4 planets in this solar system.
Well, they did. I'm not going to rule out. We know that all 4 planets got boom boom. So it's hard to argue with what could cause.
The evidence is clear. I mean, something came through and destroyed the inner system of this solar system.
Well,
what about this like spiritual war that people like to talk about? Some people think it has to do with good and evil or light and dark or whatever.
So I got a good question for people who are into the light and dark. How many people are on planet Earth?
Billions.
8 billion. How many of you out of that 8 billion do you think are truly spiritual? We know it's not 8 billion.
Probably less than 2%.
Well, we're gonna err on the side of caution and say it's 6 billion.
Clinically insane.
Well, no, I mean it's just that believe in something higher than themselves.
But okay, probably yeah,
60%. Right?
Believe or no?
Believe. Religion's always about belief, not about knowing. That's the whole
I'm not talking about
religion.
You said spiritual. You didn't say religion.
But what I'm saying. So spiritual and religion are different, but people want to believe in something. So when you're spiritual, you're still believing in something. Even though a lot of times you can
they call it like the source or the one or whatever.
So but the reason I brought that up, let's say just in our sector of the galaxy, how many living souls do you think exist here? I don't even think you can put a number on it.
Oh, souls on the planet. There's 8 whatever.
No. I'm not talking about just this planet at this point. I'm talking about there's 8 billion of us alive right now believing this or looking at this or thinking this. But when you think about just our sector of this galaxy, this little corner what we live in, I guarantee you there's several 100 trillion beings living.
Yeah, are you taking into account like people's pets, their fur relatives?
No, I'm just talking about anything is sentient to it at a certain point in time.
Are you talking living souls that are corporeal or non-corporeal or all together?
I'm just anything that's alive and existing at this moment, alive, going through life.
Oh, in
Whether
our
it's
sector?
So,
humans, aliens,
Jay's cats would
extraterrestrials.
have souls, right?
Huh?
Well, I don't know if cats.
Jay,
they're-
you believe your cats have souls, right? Like your cats have
Oh, yeah.
personalities that give them sentience, right?
No,
Oh,
I don't believe.
100%.
I don't think they're sentient. I think they're stupid ass dumb animals that taste good. Dog is delicious. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
I had it.
I would say it's
Gross.
infinite. I would say it's infinite.
It's delicious. No, I'm just. Before anybody
Look,
writes me, I'm just teasing. I got 2 dogs laying next to me right now. It's
if we,
So
if we,
the
Your
point
dog
being
looks up
is
at you like,
Joe, listen. If we use just our solar system, just our solar system, if people think 9 planets, not. It's more than that. We got like 200 and some, over 260 planets just between Jupiter and Saturn, and then we know that there's life on this planet, and we know that we're 99.9, like almost 100% sure that there's life on Venus, because the gases that have accumulated, the greenhouse gases, are the type that come from biological means, not mechanical. That much we know. So something's alive on Venus. Something's alive on Earth. Something may be alive on Europa and Io and a few other places. But there are over 300 planets just in the solar system alone, and we know of at least 2 of them that are living.
yeah. Well, there's going to be a lot of life here, but I'm
Life
talking
is
about
right.
sentient everyday life. Who knows? It's got to pull its pants up or make a decision every day. So in this,
right,
and
and
just
that, like,
this,
not only your
the
life, but
point
other
is,
people's
but
lives have
yes,
an,
but listen
like, it
for a
has an
minute.
effect on.
But that's what I'm saying. Listen for a minute. So 8 billion here, 800 trillion here. Who's affecting what? Do you really think this 8 billion can push against this 800 trillion and make any difference at all?
Yeah,
They
I think
can't.
I
No, they
do.
can't. One, they're here.
Drop in the water.
So
It's a
one,
drop
they're
in
here to
the
start off with, and we're here. So even soul level, we're not even close. And then on top of that, the sheer volume, it would be trying to take a pea and throwing it into the ocean, doing a tsunami. It's not
and
going to
then
happen.
finding
You're
that
going to get
exact.
wiped out. Yeah,
You would never. Yeah.
and yeah, you'd be dead before you could ever find it again. So the thing is we can only affect so much change. I know humans want to be self-important. I understand that. This is our biggest fault. We cannot help ourselves. We
No,
want to be
I know. Now,
self-important.
that influence might also be due to alien influence.
That could possibly be. I'm not
They,
going to
That
rule that out
reminds
either.
did
me.
give us they did give
Okay,
us the fear of God thing and the religion thing, and so those that may be on them, I think.
Some
so
damn
I've come across profiles online, like on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. I don't really use TikTok, but a lot of people share stuff on Instagram from TikTok. But anyway, beside the point. I was introduced to a couple of personalities that was suggested to me to follow, and their whole persona was based off of being able to communicate with say, for instance, other extraterrestrial beings, or for example, Pleiadians or whatnot, using light language, where they are basically speaking in what would resemble tongues. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, so I've come across this a few times, where there's people out there that are claiming to be able to download genetic codes just through the power of their voice onto other people, and it sounds like a gibberish to me. It sounds like they're just like coming up with sounds that they're making it up on the fly. But these people that are doing it, they believe it so wholeheartedly. They believe that they're channeling whatever entity, and that they're able to communicate in another language that is not of this world, and that they're able to download genetic codes onto other human beings so they can basically become upgraded.
Tell them good luck with that. It's
So, but it ties into
sooner
the
or
whole
later, if that's true, the Greys are going to come
extraterrestrial,
take them and bring them to the cleanup crew.
Yeah,
community.
I have heard of people who have spoken in tongues, and then actually the tongue was eventually recognized as an ancient language that they couldn't even possibly even known, but yet still were apparently speaking it fluently and correctly. So is that a genetic regression? I fully believe that one thing that we do have that we don't have control of, but that we do have the ability to do, is genetic memory. And I fully think that there are certain things that, I mean, look at nature. You know, why do cats like to play with strings? One of their enemies is snakes. Okay, you ever seen a cat when they're scared? How do they jump?
They fly up straight up.
They fly straight up diagonally backwards.
Crazy.
If you've ever seen a cat, particularly long-haired cats like Maine Coons, which are very large cats, by the way, they can get very big.
I love Maine Coons. I think they're gorgeous.
I've seen videos of cats that have, like a snake strikes at the cat, and they almost always miss.
Oh yeah, because their reflexes are faster than the snakes.
No, because the cat has genetic memory of, this creature jumped backwards diagonally now, boom. It's a genetic imprint. It's an automatic. It's an instinct. It's genetic memory. That's how they learn. They don't talk. They don't have classrooms. So genetic memory. In order for any of our species to have evolved to the point where they are now, including our pets, which we've helped along, they've had to have had these kind of positive
so
reactions.
Are you implying that there's certain people out there that are using what is referred to as light language that are just a little more evolved or have learned to do this because of things that their genetic code has instilled into them throughout,
genetic memory
time?
of it. That's all I can say. Yeah, I don't.
So I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. According to the Greys, the light language is the language of the light beings. No one on this planet can speak it. Even trying, it's not even a spoken language.
Look it up, Joe. There's so many people.
No. The light language is a language of light. It's not a language of sound.
Well, look up an example of somebody.
I don't need to look it up. I know, because I know what light language actually is, and it's a language of light. It's not a language of sound. So if somebody's saying it's light language and they're making sounds, they ain't speaking in light. I don't know what they speak.
Okay, so
they're not speaking. But
it makes me wonder, are these people certifiable?
Because you do know the light beings don't even have an audible system. They don't speak at all.
How is it? How do I know who to trust with what it is that they're sharing about what they think they know?
All you can do is try it and see what it does.
If they're sharing it with so much conviction, and they have their own little testimonies to, basically back up what they claim.
Well,
if they believe it, wouldn't that make it real?
If you haven't been doing it for more than 15 years, you're not really got anything. Anybody can get 5 or 10 or 100 or even 500 people to say something for them. That's not a big thing in today's world. I mean, just look at our politics. So really and truly, it's hard, because even though there's some gifted people out there that I've talked to on a regular basis that have probably only been doing it for 5 or 8 years, it's hard for people to truly take them serious, because they have just not been around long enough, and they make a lot of mistakes. And that's what happens when you start in the field, because you make a lot of mistakes. It's kind of like the light language. So people are going to call it the light language, but that's not what it actually is. Whatever language it is, I couldn't tell you. And I'm not saying people don't even speak it. I'm just saying it's not the light language, because light beings do have a language, and that's not it.
Well, it's definitely what it's being referred to in this.
Referred to it around me. I'll correct them quickly. It's so, because that's the kind of stuff that makes you look foolish.
I do not disagree, and it makes it
say,
really
it's the language of light, but it sounds like a thought. Now there is this language, and I've heard this one several times. So there's a language that when you put it underwater sounds just like the dolphins. It even sounds like the dolphins above the water, the way they click and pop and stuff. I mean, and a lot of people, and if you play it around dolphins, they react to it. So we've had women several times when being around grays at certain times, they've heard this language. A lot of people think that is the grays' original language, even though they're telepathic now. They're saying that's their original language. So it is. So like for me or you or Jay, it would sound like jibber jabber.
that makes sense that they evolved from cephalopods because they have some of the Anunnaki have it too. They have like a ridge right there, which is if you look at the dolphins, it's not as pronounced, but there's a small triangular ridge right there in the front of the what is it, Truncatus, trunc, uh, the most popular type, Terciops truncatus, I believe, is the species. They have a sonar device back in their brain there that they use to kill other species, particularly sharks. So when they hit the shark, they use their sonar and they focus a sonar beam like ultrasound, and they burst the animal's organs and kill it as they hit it.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, actually. I've heard of beings that do protection for the light beings, that including the Greys, by the way. They're one of them, but there's supposed to be a group of them out there that basically, for a lack of better way of saying it, they do the light beings bidding. So if what they say is true about so if it's true what they say about the light beings, and I've heard this from so many contactees I've lost count, they're very old. We're talking on a magnitude of 500,000,000,000 years old. They're very, very old. They're not from this galaxy. Matter of fact, from their own descriptions, this galaxy, when they first started, was still forming. So it gives you an idea of how old they are and how powerful they are.
So our little feeble lives must seem like a blink of an eye to them.
What scares me is they said they came from a dead galaxy. The closest dead galaxy I could find that we're not personally eating is a freaking long ways away, 18,000 light years or more.
I would imagine if they came from a dead galaxy, that this galaxy were in
18 million.
orbit. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Heidi has a question about if any of us have heard of light protector being.
That's what I was just talking about. That's what I was.
Well,
that's what I was talking
going
about.
to say an Earth example would be like the true knights, like the holy knights, like a paladin type of,
But they're supposed to
pure
be
good kind of guy that can't be corrupted.
The Greys say they I don't know what word they use for our language. It would be bless them, but the Greys say it's like everybody who works for them gets a piece of energy. I don't know how to explain it. It's not a piece of them. It's just part of their. I guess in some ways there might be like the aliens from Deep Space Nine, the ones Odo was part of. There might be a central core.
I never watched that show.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking maybe there's a central core of light being somewhere, and these other ones are just traveling around. Because they say a light being can't get inside of a human because it'll turn us to dust instantly. They're just the magnitude of power. That's why they don't come here. Usually they'll take a piece of their cells and send it here with maybe a gray or a reptilian or something like that. But they themselves usually don't come here. It's kind of a bad thing because for something I don't understand it completely. But for when way it's explained, if for some reason you were to breach one, there'd be no more Earth.
Well, I mean,
we would just be evaporated.
Those beings are described in the Bible as was it Moses that says he had to turn his eyes away because it was painful to see one?
I thought that was an angel.
They're the same things.
Yeah. So that's what gets so weird. So when we were talking about Hitler earlier and the human aliens, so they used to come to him. So he mentions this in his book Mein Kampf.
Yeah,
he mentions these beings used to come. He called them angels, flowing long hair, 6 fingers, and I don't know how he knew they had 6 toes. And he went on about other things. It's the same description that people give of the human type aliens. It's the same exact. And I imagine they probably even made it a little bit more fuss and bust to sell it up some, to make him really want to follow what he said. What scares me about this is,
well, it must have worked.
Where he went with it,
and absolute,
That's what I'm saying. Look at the things he went and did. So did these beings encourage him to do that? And we already know the human aliens don't think of humans. I mean, come on. Originally, we were slaves to them. So, I mean, originally we were slaves to them.
Yes. We were built as slaves. We were built, particularly on this planet, to do their work.
Yeah, no, Denise Heidi asked that question. No, there's. What do you mean elementals? No, I don't. You mean a light beam? Yeah, I guess you maybe could equivalent one to that, but I think they're actually more powerful than that.
Yeah, I think
They
so too.
seem to have a command of. You know what? The best thing I can give you in sci-fi would be Q, and I
Yes.
would say probably on a magnitude of 10 times more powerful.
Are you talking about Q the
The omnipotent super being.
Played by the
yeah,
actor.
that there's this one podcast where this guy does meditations and it's all based on the law of one.
I've heard of
And
Akasha or Akashic.
yeah, and Q is supposedly the being that shared the law of one with humanity.
A lot of
No,
stuff, weird stuff out there. What's it?
not in the Star Trek universe. The Q entities are a group of. There's more than one, but they're all super beings that can do whatever they want. They can snap their fingers and make it happen right away. Like that,
Yeah,
like
they can create life. They can destroy life. They can build planets. In our universe, they would be gods.
Yeah,
That's the only way the humans today would be able to refer to them is as gods, because everything we think a god can do, they can do.
it is the
And that's
god.
the same with the light beams.
Godlike
Everything that we
being you
think,
can think of. Yes.
yeah. So everything that we think a god can do, the light beings can do. And they're not gods. That's the funny part. And they don't even try to act like gods, from what I understand. They're just
Well,
super.
did those same light beings, did they create this? Because I mean, they have. I actually I didn't realize it, but my copy of the Urantia book, which is allegedly a channeled uh, story of the creation of this universe.
Yes.
But allegedly, the beings of that book created this solar system, this universe, this galaxy, everything. I wonder if it's the same people they're talking about.
Hard to say.
Okay,
I mean, just,
I misspoke. It's not Q, it's Quo. Have you heard of Quo?
Whoa, I've heard of all
No.
kinds of gods and demons and deities. There's too many of them. It's too hard to keep track of them all.
Is that how you're spelling it?
Q apostrophe UO.
Oh, okay.
Here.
We're gonna have to bring Heidi up here to see what she's talking about down there. What is it, Janine? There's just a lot of these different deities running around. Think about this: before Christ and the three majors of the day, there was millions of them, or at least thousands of them. We already know there's 1,001 religions, so how many gods does that make? Gets a little confusing.
Well,
and that comes down to belief. Which one do you believe? How many of y'all are going to get saved?
Whether you believe in the single God theory, the triple God theory, or the multiple God theory, the fact is that there are a lot of them.
There is a lot of them. Jackie, if there are real gods, they probably do get their power from us. It's probably where they draw it from. But when you start thinking about that, you have to also stop and think. So one of the first things Monsignor Balducci ever told me was that the Vatican was completely and utterly aware that extraterrestrials existed and that they were on a much higher spiritual realm than we were. Now, this is Monsignor Balducci, just at the time one of the Pope's favorite people. He's telling me this in Washington, D.C. P.O. Harris is actually translating the whole thing. And I was stunned when he said that. And I still am, even today, that the Vatican itself thinks that these extraterrestrial beings, and I think they were referring to the Greys here, were on a much higher spiritual plane than we were, and were much, his words, much, much, much closer to God than we are. They actually understood who God was, or what God was. He never did clarify that. And on two other occasions after that, I talked to two different astronomers for the Vatican, and they both said the same thing. And then I met with that cardinal in New Orleans, and that wasn't even supposed to be about UFOs. He brought it up. I didn't bring it up, actually. Somebody told him I did UFOs, and he started telling me about it, which was strange and weird to start off with. But Chris, I get a lot of weird stuff happens to me. Like I find myself in places where there are people of importance that somehow or another we get into these conversations. I knew for sure, I would tell you. Some people say it's a Grays arrangement. Some say it's a government. Have I worked for the government? In what way? I was in the U.S. Navy. So what do you mean?
The government pays me every month to be a Looney Tunes.
Yes, and she earns it too. Trust me. Oh no, she was making an old man float around the house the other day. I seen her. Poor man, I feel for him, man. Being married to a Marine chick must be rough.
I can't claim that.
Jack, what's up? I'm just giving Leah shit. What's up, Jackie? You mean extraterrestrials? The light beings just seem to be really, 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 really advanced, and not in the way. So they seem to have left everything.
They're beyond technology now. They don't. Yes. They don't actually use technology.
Wouldn't it be like us looking at like a school of fish or a colony of ants?
No, it would be like us looking at our 2-year-old.
More like us looking at a slide, a microscopic slide of amoebas.
No, I think it would be more like us looking at a 2-year-old. They're looking at it because they do think they think enough about us that they allow these other 3 races to come here and do whatever that they're doing without destroying us or wiping us out or taking the planet away from us, which I imagine they could if they wanted to. So they don't.
What if they're trying to turn us into a weapon against the light beings?
It could be, but I don't think that's something we got to worry about. Because light beings would just think die and the whole planet would be gone. So that'd be the end of that shit. I don't even know how you. The only way I think you could beat the light beings is that we would have to turn into them.
You'd have to be somewhere. At their level. Yeah, that's what I'm.
100 billion years from now, maybe 100 billion years from now.
What if they're trying? What if that's like their Kwisatz Haderach? What if that's what they're looking for?
They might be, but it's not going to be anytime soon. That's for sure. I mean, the magnitude of power between us and them is not even. We're like 0.000000500 million times.
Scale.
But it's not that we can't. It's not that down the line we can't become that.
Well,
I've said this before with
years, hundreds of
billions. So we're going to shortcut some of it, but I've said this before. Yeah. With whatever we originally started out with, the human aliens DNA, the reptilian aliens DNA, and the Greys gives us a jump start. So instead of having to develop completely from a monkey or a lemur, whatever we came from,
we're already a hybrid.
Yeah, so we've already jumped, and because of that, there's going to be hybrid jumps throughout as we grow, because our DNA is probably not completely going to be completely stable.
That's what's happening now. There's going to be another big one coming up.
Well, I don't know how big they are, but it's hard. So let me think about this. So if we had to judge through history, I would say every big leap in either thought or technology was when one of these happened. Because there has to be something. If there's action, there has to be a reaction. And the reaction should be us moving forward or upward or something. So I'm thinking if we are on a verge of another one of these, then I guess it would be more into more forward thought than technology. Maybe a little bit of both. It's hard to say. Our technology seems to be developing on its own about every 2 or 3 years. So I don't know if we need that jump, but I think we do need. I think we're behind our technology. Mentally, I think we're behind our technology. I think we need that evolutionary jump from maybe the Z-Geners or the next generation after them to catch up with where the technology is going to be. Because baby boomers and X-Geners, huh?
Do you think there's going to be a cutoff? Like eventually it's like, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at, right, is when I mentioned the whole like a war between good and evil or light and dark, is that it's leading up to something, right? Religions talk of it as the apocalypse. Like some people think of it as the end of a certain dimension where you'll either be forced to ascend into a higher dimension or you will perish.
But that's the problem. Think of it this way, Leah. No one on this stinking ass planet right now is ready to ascend anywhere. We are so back asswards and so stupid and so violent.
So what I'm wondering
maybe
is
100 billion years we might, but not anytime soon. We can't even think about this until the planet's united and we can actually have a spiritual, at least partly spiritual planet. Right now, we're too busy wanting to kill each other, blow each other up, steal from
Right.
each other, rob each other, rape each other.
That's because people keep voting for warmongers and people who have nothing better to do
that's
but
not really true. You know why it is? It's because we're
benefit corporate
200
entities.
countries. If we were one country, this shit wouldn't be going on. We're
I don't know
200
if that's
countries.
necessarily true, though, Joe.
It is pretty. It's way better than it is right now.
Breakouts, even so.
No,
Yeah.
so look at America versus most of the world, and right now we're being a little lenient.
We're colonists.
So, and we are naturally. That's why we're going to explore space and get out there and take care of things. It's because it's who this country
we're
is.
gonna lay claim to other people's.
But what I mean by
land
this
that doesn't belong to us.
is our people right now are some of the best people on the planet, live some of the best lives on the planet, have some of the best health care on the planet, almost everything best. So it shows you what one country can do. If the whole planet was like this, yes, there's going to be issues, and it's going to take still 1,000 years to get rid of all the violence and hunger. But you can
It's
get
good
rid of
healthcare for people that
cancer.
have the money for it. It's good healthcare for people that might be able to afford it because they were given the opportunity to buy houses for pennies on the dollar compared
First
to what
off,
today's cost of living is.
under a one world government, there would be no military cost of trillions of dollars. That would go away. That would all go to healthcare, matter of fact, or space travel, or advance in science. There would just be no need for it on the
It
planet.
seems like these benefits are only available to the super wealthy and the privileged.
But they're not.
Otherwise, you're living in impoverished,
But they're not.
At some point,
all benefits have been in this country. It's benefit to
money
everybody.
will be abolished, and class and caste will be a thing of the past. We're not there yet, but yeah, at some point, all of that's going to not matter.
So once you become one world, there's lots of once you.
I'll never have a 401k or a pension.
I probably won't either. I'm closer to retirement age than you are.
Well, technically,
Joe's closer than me.
Technically, I just signed up for retirement the other day.
Oh,
so I'm
shit,
just gonna start working on the radio station to support my ass. I gave the company's going. I already gave it away. So
what?
It's
what
time,
maintenance
man.
solutions or
it went away because my doctor kept bitching. Yeah, always.
Are you talking about the maintenance?
Yeah, the maintenance and the construction. I got rid of both of them. They so the doctor keeps saying, "Oh, you're always getting hurt. You're always doing this. You're always doing that. You're breaking that. You're pulling this." She said, "Stop."
Did your son inherit it?
Yeah, it's that and part of it. Part of it went somewhere else.
That's just something that certain people have no idea about. Like, there's people out there that will never be able to inherit anything. Orphans, you know.
It don't matter if you don't do anything with it, or if you don't control it right. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's only as hard as you work. What's that, Jeffrey? It's hard to say where we are evolutionary because there's a gap growing on our planet to start off with. The Rh negative and Rh positive people, there's starting to be a gap between them in a lot of different areas. And if you pay attention to how many people are in the public have green or blue eyes, it will amaze you. Since green-eyed people only represent 2% of the world's population, I think blue eyes is somewhere around 10 or 12% right now. So that's 14%.
My eyes changed from blue to green to gray.
That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means you're an alien. That's all. Get the alien DNA.
I don't have Rh negative blood. My blood's normal. It's just AB positive. Or no, I'm sorry, A positive.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with A positive. They abduct the positive people. It's just for some reason they abduct Rh negative people at a far higher rate. And Rh negative is the new mutation. It also doesn't share.
Negative.
Think of it this way. You share your DNA with a rhesus monkey. I don't.
Matt's blood is O negative.
He doesn't either then, see? He didn't know he was dating Monkey Girl. Uh-oh, you might be in trouble, Monkey Girl.
He knows.
I'm sorry. What's that, Janine? No, it's true. Rh negative. There's a couple things Rh negative doesn't share with Rh positive. It's just different. It's just a different blood.
All I have to say is about that. I don't know if it has.
I don't understand how it can't do it.
Negative, but he is very. He's a class above when it comes to what he's very focused on certain things that it seems like only he and a small group of other people would be able to fully comprehend.
This matter, faster, brighter. That's what RH negative represents. Smarter, faster, brighter.
Yeah.
It's just, but it doesn't. People get confused when I say stuff like that because eventually, people, and we're talking a long time from now, whatever this original plant was, whatever this mutation was originally, they started 50,000, 100,000 years ago, whenever it was. It's slowly been gaining. It's 15, 18% of the world's population, and it's slowly gaining and moving forward. In 100 million years, it's going to be 85, 90% of the population on this planet. And the reason why is it's the next mutation in our evolution. It's all it is. It's not anything evil or bad.
Procreate?
Well, yeah, but see, somebody had to invent. So think about this, though. So it was our next evolution, but in the beginning, it couldn't be used because when Rh positive and Rh negative people have children, they usually died. There was actually a vaccination invented just so that wouldn't happen anymore.
When it was Rh negative woman, but not necessarily the man. When it was the woman's body would fight it off because it would believe that it was a foreign object.
It was
being
both,
grown inside of her.
Yep. That's exactly
But if it was Rh positive woman and a Rh negative man, the necessity for those types of medications were generally it was not necessary.
Well, no, Johnny had to have it. I know that. They said something about the way his blood, and he was AB negative actually, and which is rare enough to start off with. Jack, AB negative is 1.5% of the world's population. Yeah, 1.5% of the world's population. The blood thing is really weird because no one really knew about this until recent times. Until we started asking for blood types, no one really knew. And then all of a sudden, after we got about 85,000 blood types, we realized there was a significant gap between Rh negative and Rh positive. And since 83% of the world, 85% of the world is Rh positive, you got to wonder why. But remember this, before this mutation, people on this planet were brown skin, brown hair, brown eye.
We had little,
very bland.
Little bone structures too, right? Like we were like small humans.
Well, yeah, 5 foot, 4'11", 4'10", stuff like that. It's the Rh negative is a boost to our genetics. I don't know what it is, and nobody knows where it came from. Every scientist today can't tell you where it came from. I've worked with several hematologists on this, and no one knows why the hell it happened. You can't put it on Mother Nature because it's a baby killer. So Mother Nature, that would have slowed down procreation instead of, and since it happened, think of it this way. Since it happened over 50, 100,000 years ago, how many babies did it kill between now and since then and the time the vaccination came up? How many? Millions?
Have you ever heard of the conspiracy theory that involves something about a mud flood?
I have heard people talk about the mud flood. I have actually heard that because there's been a couple of places where they have found just 100 foot of mud, 200 foot of mud, but they don't know if that came from the Great Flood or something other flood. It's hard to say because, our planet's, the water's been up and down on our planet a few times over the years.
Here's a worldwide distribution of blood types. Wow.
Where's the negative at?
Well, first of all, the brown is O positive. The light brown, this up here, is A positive.
What? That's where my blood type comes from.
And then this is B positive, and then the white stuff is unknown.
So on the ICAR site with the number one hematologist in our country, probably in the world, he's got all this broke down individually so you can see what it is. So what's really funny about this is South America and Central America are 98% O.
Yeah.
What the hell is that about? Nobody can explain that. No one can explain that.
Does that mean that they've interbred?
Let me put that back up. Here,
I don't know, but it's interesting to me because, and we've been tracking them because it's been almost 15 years since we did the original study. So we've been watching to see if anything's changing.
So look right here. There's these little pockets. There's this, and these areas that are gray. Everything else is, the whole of this continent is O positive.
Hey, so which one is the universal donor? O positive or O negative?
O negative.
O negative.
So O negative can donate blood to any other blood type.
Anybody. Yeah.
And O positive,
Technically,
they're
it's
the ones
plasma,
that,
but
O positive is the one that can only donate to O positive.
O
so
negative.
yeah, so all right, so yeah, O negative can only give itself its own blood, but its blood can be given to anybody else. It's plasma actually, but only O negative people can only use O negative blood. They can't use anybody else's; it'll kill them. But yet they can give their blood to anybody else on the planet, and even the rarest form of blood, AB negative, they can still use O negative. What they do is it's something about removing the plasma and sequencing it, but they can use it. So technically, that would mean Rh negative is actually the rarest form of blood to man because they can only use their own blood. Even though AB is 1.5%, when you add in the 7% that they can use from O negative, it puts them at almost 9%. So
What's your blood type, Joe?
O negative. I'm green eyed and O negative. And you know what? That's why I didn't run phase 2 of the study. I gave it to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm not sure what mine is either. I'm gonna have to find out because I'm gonna have some surgery on a. I
What
have
do
a
you mean,
cyst on my
Samantha?
back, so I'm gonna find out for sure.
Samantha, I gave the ICAR study over to somebody else that was actually A positive, mainly because I didn't want anybody saying I was doing it because I was O negative and green eyed. So I handed it over to somebody else. It was better that way. It was safer that way. And then, matter of fact, not just somebody else. I gave it to 4 other somebody else's, and then I brought in 5 other agencies. So when I got the first initial information that green eyed and O negative played such a prominent role in abductees, I removed myself from the project.
Oh.
I was like, nope, can't do this. I gave it over to some pretty hard asses, and they did a really, really good job, but nothing really changed. It actually got worse instead of better. It comes out, it's like 65, almost 70% of contactees are Rh negative. And since it's only 15% of the world population, it really bothers me because according to Alfred Weber and our 15% theory of contactees, that's 1.5 billion people. So, and then that would also mean that Rh negative is 1.5 billion people. It's just a really weird coincidence. It's just a really weird coincidence that the amount of contactees and Rh negative kind of go with the same number. It's a little freaky, actually. All it tells me is Rh negative was just an upgrade.
Is there going to ever be the end of the world?
Doesn't mean, not anybody. I don't know. I think that's always, if you ever look at the what's that clock, Jay?
The Georgia Guidestone stuff?
No, they got the Armageddon clock or whatever the hell they call it.
The one that Jeff Bezos built?
No, this is a clock that I forgot who uses it. It's countdown to doomsday. It's the doomsday clock. I'm like, right now we are 2 minutes to doomsday is where the clock's at. And it goes back and forth. Since I've been alive and I use it, the best it's ever been is 25 minutes to doomsday. So we're always really close. And the problem with humans are right now is what we were talking about a little while ago. And this might be part of because Rh negative people tend to be a little bit more love, light, and laughter. They're a little more peace, love, and light kind of people. They're more spiritual for sure, but they're not very religious. And it's just different. They're more peace, love, and light, but they're also more science orientated at the same time. They seem to have an easier time melding spirituality and science together.
Or they're completely shut off from all of that because of a traumatic Christian upbringing.
Well, you can't rule that out, but usually an Rh negative person will blow through that. They'll usually get through it. Even if they got help, they'll get through it a lot faster. But even on their own, a lot of times they'll work their way through it. Well, it was a good. I'm O. That's what I am. I'm O negative, but I'm still O. Linda was O positive. My son's O positive. Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, see, he's he's a human. Yeah, I'm a reptilian. Is that what you're saying? Because of the green eyes. I don't think. Well, he's got green eyes too. Though he's just got an O positive blood. He looks a lot like me. Just a skinny little fuck. That's all. I think it was just a gift. I think it was a way because first off, O negative is a universal donor, but more importantly, it's the purest form of blood known to man. It's where almost all of our hematological research comes from. So without it, we would be decades behind where we are today. It was like a gift. Yeah, but it helps us understand a lot of stuff. It really does.
So, do these extraterrestrials, these other races of beings, are they categorized by blood types or something of that sort?
I doubt it.
Do
I
they
don't
even
even know if
have
they have.
blood?
Yeah, well, I was going to say I don't even know if they have different types, or because as far as we know, if some of the early stories are true, we've got A from the humans, B from the reptilians, and O from the Greys.
What if we were being like farmed for our blood, and our blood was their like sustenance?
Well, it's possible, but they're not really taking that much of it. Besides,
Well,
I
it
would
makes
think a
me
race
wonder
those
about these
advances could
like,
make blood.
you know, there's also the rabbit hole that is quite common online when it comes to celebrities sacrificing orphan children from around the world, blood sacrifices to keep themselves as young as
Looking young,
possible.
yeah. There's a lot of that.
Right, like the whole idea of this like adrenochrome harvesting thing, and how it ties into like Luciferian cults or like satanic occults. Makes me wonder if that has anything to do with these negative beings that have come to this planet.
Well, I don't think there's anything, no such thing as negative beings to the planet, but I don't think they're any more positive, any more negative than we are. I think they're just doing what they're doing. They're the different things they're doing here. Because
Well,
I mean,
good, bad, negative, and positive are kind of also sort of objective. I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of two farmers, one has a field that's going well, and and the other one has a field that's dying, and then a big storm comes through. The big storm comes through and overwaters the good farmer's farm and kills it. While the rain comes through and the farmer whose farm is dying, it brings it back to life. And then if you go and ask those two farmers, what do they think of that storm? The one farmer whose farm died is going to think of it as an evil thing. Oh, that evil storm came through and killed my farm and killed all my plants. The farmer whose crops were brought back to life, he'll think that it was good. It's fantastic. Oh, I love this thing. So that
yeah, a really good
kind
one
of how
of
you got to
those
look at
is
it.
yeah. Well, like what's a good point because like 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
Americans thought, oh my God, it was evil. That ain't what the Middle Eastern thought. They thought, all right, we just kicked America's ass. We had a
Well,
good
wait
time.
till they find out who actually did it.
They, I don't know. Trump seems to think it was them. So I've been listening to Trump lately. We're going to talk about that on Friday night because we got a lot of the JFK stuff now has come out. But what's it, Jimmy? No, we talked about JFK. Jim Mars and I, when he did his book Crossfire, it premiered here. We talked about it here. Well, because of the one bullet miracle. Nobody, I don't even know why they present that. Nobody believes that. Not even the lonely idiot don't even know what JFK is. It's the one bullet miracle. What the hell is that? Yeah. I don't know why they call it a miracle since it killed the man. So I don't know. It's. I have heard so many reasons why they killed him. Oh yeah, from ET to the Russians to the mob to
Well,
Castro to
the one thing that is in common with the other three presidents who were assassinated in this country, all three, including Kennedy, all four of them messed with the Federal Reserve Bank, and all
Yeah,
four
that's
of
what
them,
I was gonna say. He was in
all
favor
four of them
of
conduit. Huh?
wasn't wasn't JFK in favor of Libya um forming their own currency that was, I mean, not part of the federal, yeah, the,
No,
I
he
don't
was
really know the
he
technical terms.
wanted to in order to first of all to get the funds up to get our troops into Vietnam and to keep them there. He turned off the Federal Reserve Bank and stopped them from making money, and he put it back in the United States government Office of Printing at the Office of Treasury, where it belongs. But when he did that, I think it was 6 months after he did that, where his head exploded.
tell them what's going on there. That's the whole point. So I haven't heard much out of these documents. I've heard a couple of little things here and there, so we'll actually see Friday. There'll be a little bit more out. So
one thing my coworker found was that he found Israel's intelligence agencies being mentioned a lot, and Russia giving the U.S. government, particularly both Johnson and Kennedy, warnings of an assassination attempt.
Just like
there's so much stuff
W
that went
was
on
warned about the Twin Towers before it happened.
Yeah, maybe so.
Actually, no, he wasn't warned. That was the problem. So what the report said is the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and the SS didn't talk to each other. They all knew. All four agencies knew that was going to happen, but none of them talked to each other to tell the president. That's what the fault was. They eventually had to admit it. And then after that, they started a whole new thing. So the agencies have to talk to each other. The agencies like keeping secrets from even each other. You never know who's going to leak what. The Pete thing asked me about it Friday. We'll talk about it Friday. Yeah, that.
You talking about the war plans?
Yeah, we'll talk about it on Friday. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about it. Just that was just stupid stuff. Oh yeah, no, the war plan thing went stupid. It was who they let in the conversation. I was just ignorant. Somebody.
I have some things to add about all of that. I guess tonight's not the right night.
Friday night.
So Ukraine and Russia is a Friday night topic.
Yeah, all that, anything that's political, wartime, blow you up. If there's not an alien, go, ooh, it ain't interesting for the night's audience. What is that?
But wouldn't it all tie into each other somehow?
No, they don't all tie into each other.
The reason that it's all taking place is so people, one side might know about the truth of what these beings are and what they want and what they're doing here versus the side that's trying to keep it all a secret and not let it be disclosed.
So Kareen says that the language y'all are referring to as the light language is a language it comes from the Toltecs, and it's called the ghost language. How you know that, Kareem? I thought they didn't know anything about the Toltecs. I mean, not anything, but not much.
I've never heard of the term ghost language, but I just hear it being.
I've actually heard of the term the ghost language, but not in this context. Well, send me. Yeah, Kareem, just send it. iCarCox.net, ICAR Cox.net. Yeah, just send it over. We're not gonna have time for it tonight, but I'll save it for next week. Yeah. Well, no, stuff like that can be talked about on the show. Yeah. You know what? We need to bring the gray zone back. I just don't know where we're going to put it. Well, Jay and I and the boys have kind of taken its slot over on Saturday. There's only a half hour between Arthur's Quill and the chat.
Sometimes I'm one of the boys.
Yes.
Yes,
the boys and the girls, I should say. And eventually, who was that? An Asian friend of mine wants to come join me. She said she's working on her English before she comes and gets on air with us. That's going to be on a Friday night show. She's a Bitcoin expert. The girl's got more money than God. I tell her all the time, donate to the station. Oh, I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you ain't got no money, bitch. I give her trouble about it all the time. No, well, you see, Jay and I talked about this a lot, and Lee and I have talked about this, and a lot of people who've been on the show, we've talked about this. So the initial race, the initial human race, not us, but the thing right before us, they were a created race. They weren't a naturally evolving race. That's one of the reasons why.
They weren't also able to breed.
Yeah. Well, no, they can breed. No, they can breed.
You're talking about the creatures that that were depicted in the beginning of the movie Prometheus.
Well, as far as I understand it, according to some of the actual correct Sumerian translations, the name of us is, according to the Anunnaki, is Adamu, Adamu, and that's where you get the Adam and Eve kind of thing. But it's a different word that means the first ones, and specifically it refers to the first ones or the first set or experiment that was able to breed unchecked.
In what language?
In Sumerian.
Sumerian.
Yeah. So this is a weird thing. So it gets a little hairy, scary, but there was 7 creations of man with the creation before us technically being our ancestor. And as far as I know, that was the first.
I don't know if I'd say creations so much as iterations.
Yeah. So the last one, not us, but the one right before us, is the only one I knew that could breed. The other ones before that, the six before that, I don't think they could breed. Because they were like,
Well, that's the
wolf
reason. That's
head.
the reason why
Will
they
the
allowed.
reptilians like procreate with eggs?
No, there was
No,
another. They did some other type of growth method. It's
the
kind of like,
reptilians are not true reptiles. They look like reptiles, but they're not true reptiles. It's not what they
yeah,
are. They're more.
they grew up
They,
on a
they
different.
have they have babies. They have breasts. They it's different.
They have a
They're not
uterus and they have
they're
testicles
not
and stuff.
warm blooded like we are though. They're not. It's a
They're
little weird.
mammalian. They're more mammalian
Springtime
than they
hiding.
are reptilian.
Yeah, they're kind of in between. I don't know. It's weird how they talk about it, but they do have the same
Have a good
parts
night,
because I
Heidi.
mean I know human women who have contested to that. I've actually talked about that. So it's the whole
So
thing
they
is
have
kind of
estrogen and
okay,
progesterone and
but
androgen.
well, I don't know. No, it's
Well,
not going to be the same. It's not going to be the
okay,
same as
so there
ours.
has to be some similarities because allegedly some of the gods or aliens bred with some of our ancestors. So,
Yes.
um,
So I imagine there are some similarities, and I imagine some science would have been involved. But
more than
so,
that, if they were breeding with us. There's more than a few similarities.
but what I'm talking about is when the reptilians came in and made us sentient. Before that, we were just a dumbass species walking around. We weren't much smarter than apes. I mean, we knew things like
We had
we could.
lesser evolved. Yes, we didn't have the reptilian aspect in our brains, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we just walked around, did what we were told, plowed the field, procreated, had babies, so they didn't have to do it. And then eventually the reptilians came in, and after that, we became the race, started to become the race we are today, is what I should say. Um, but that proved right there that that last race could breed because we know the reptilians were breeding with them. But anything before that, I don't think could. I think what Jay was saying in the beginning was right. I don't think they gave them because some of them were pretty hairy, scary looking things, like the eagle headed one or the hawk head or whatever the hell that was. I mean, some of this stuff was a little weird. Um, Dog heads on top of human bodies. I think originally they were just looking for an obedient slave, is what they were looking for.
Wouldn't that be considered a chimera?
A chimera is kind of sometimes referred to as sort of like a Frankenstein style, whatever type of creatures are added together. But generally, they are through um, the most research. There are creatures that are not just chimeras. We got hippogriffs. We've got uh, giants with only one eye, cyclopses. You have
Minotaurs.
minotaurs, centaurs. In the Dungeons and Dragons world, there's a Pegacentaur, which is a horse with a human torso and wings. And so it's a horse with a human body torso that can fly. So there are all kinds of composite monsters and creatures. Yes.
It's I don't know. It's strange, but it in the Sumerians text. See, what's good about this stories is we have three references. Actually, we have four technically. So we have the Sumerians, and we have the reptilians. So we also have the Egyptians and the what they start with an M. They were at the same time as the Egyptians and the Sumerians.
Oh, no, the ancient Greece. The ancient Greeks. What are they called? The
No,
Mycenaeans.
this is it starts with an M. I
Minoans?
can't think. The, we
Minoans?
were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Oh man, I can't. I'll have to find it, but it starts with an M. They were right there, actually in between. They were the little piece of land between where
Minoans? Minoan?
it might have been. I'd have to. I don't want to give
Really?
anybody the wrong idea, but Jay might be close there. Check it out and see. But you can tell people because they had like Iran in them, and all that land in between all belonged to them.
The Minoans is from where we get the what the Leah's example of the Minotaur.
It's
Minotaur, Minoans. So
but anyway, look and see, people. It's interesting that those three races were there when all this supposedly started.
mhm.
Well, we don't know if the Egyptians are younger than the Sumerians. It's getting to where they look like they may be the same age or even older because we've got to remember it looks like the Sphinx dates back to 15,000 years ago,
At
12,000.
least 14,500 BC, perhaps longer.
So yeah, we're going to give you the 15,000. Well, it's 12,500 BC is what they're saying. It's 15,000 years, but regardless, Jay might be right. I mean, it may be much older than this. We're just starting at 15,000. We know it's at least that old now, thanks to a lot of work that's been done on it. The pyramids are probably in the 3 to 6,000 year range, but And still remember, people,
The pyramids were probably built at around the same time as the Sphinx, and their dating is at least 14,500 years
well,
ago.
no, I would think that, but there's no real water runoff on the pyramids like there is on the Sphinx. So
No,
I'm thinking
because they were
overnight.
covered over by the Egyptians. The original buildings, whatever they were originally, has been covered over by the Egyptians.
Yeah, but if they covered it with limestone, that would have been washed
Yeah.
away by water. So I don't know.
That's
It's hard
the
to
thing.
say.
When the Egyptians put the limestone on top of it was a freaking desert again. There wasn't any rain. There wasn't any.
Besides that, we have Khufu, so it makes it hard when you have Khufu. Because Khufu was actually the original pyramid built. He built the bent pyramid, the arch pyramid, and the first real pyramid. So I mean, he's got I don't know, but he's got the documentation that show it. So he's got all the little things that show how it started. What's that, Jack? No, we've done all of them on this show before. Yeah, it does. So when we talk about this stuff, you can be as solid as you want on it, but it's still not 100%.
Yeah.
None of us were there.
No.
Khufu was one of the sons. I forgot. I think his dad actually tried to build the first one, but Khufu was the son of.
Well, the biggest one is Khufu's. The second one, the next smallest one down is Khafre or Cheops.
Yeah, well, you can see because there's a couple of them Khufu building. A couple of them, like the bent pyramid, that's his. It's y'all never seen a bent pyramid?
It's a failed pyramid, yes.
Yeah, so he built three of them.
The pyramid of Djoser, which is also a bent pyramid. And then you have the third pyramid, the third of the big pyramids of Giza is Menkaure, and that is, I believe, Khafre's mother.
Yeah, so. Well, no, the reason we know about Khufu is he didn't keep the records. The guy who was doing the engineering and his priest did. That's why we have such good. That's why we see a lot of them priests kept the information, but later on, other pharaohs destroyed it.
You know what that priest's name was?
I probably got it in the computer somewhere. It's probably
Give me a guess. Give me your best guess. You're indicating
no idea. What's the guy from?
It's exactly that one. It's exactly that one from that movie.
What is his name? Oh, I can see his face too.
Anyway.
Yeah, Imhotep. That's it. Yep, that's it. Imhotep was even.
He's the architect of the pyramids, allegedly, according to Egyptian.
So yeah, and a lot of them say that too. So we have at least three legends of pyramid builders, ranging from years from 6,000 to 3,000 years. Take your pick. It doesn't really matter to me because pyramids are interesting to start off with. Now, all this shit about they found spiral drums under the middle one, I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't seen anything other than that one video on it. They said they found it with what you use to look at your baby, ultrasound. Well, they just found a bunch of stuff down in South America with ultrasound and with LiDAR. So they've been using LiDAR and ultrasound. LiDAR is a form of radar. Yes.
Well, I mean, what the ultrasound that they use isn't really. It's a seismic device, and really what it is a 12-gauge shotgun shell shot into the earth through like a 50-gallon barrel, just boom, the giant shotgun.
But they've got something new now that's and have y'all seen the new technology for reading the ancient scrolls? So they can't unroll them because they'll disintegrate, right? So they found out a way to go in and
a kid did that. It was a kid. He was like 19.
So they found a way. So the lead scientist came in and said, okay, you can't make it to where it can tell you a name. It can only show you the letters. In other words, a computer program is not allowed to come up with an answer. It can only show you the letters. The scientists and archaeologists have to come up with what it says because they don't trust the computer might just, do whatever kind of rant. You know how AI is. AI just goes off on a rant sometimes. So they're not allowing that to happen. It's going to be interesting stuff, man. Some of the shit is really old. And I'm kind of interested, but it'll probably be another year or two before we even hear anything good out about that. And they're going to make a dive on the pyramid off the one off the front side of Cuba. There's one facing the Keys. There's going to be a dive scheduled there, and then they got a dive scheduled for the one in the harbor in 2027. Well, there's a pyramid. There's actually several pyramids off the front of Cuba, and the largest one, all the pyramids in Egypt couldn't fit inside of. All of them, not just the big ones, all of them. It's big. It's just massive.
So that may be Atlantis, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. And what's great about what's got me about this one is it's like Bimini Road. Where'd they get them blocks from? Because, nature, they get saying, well, it's natural. Well, there's no other blocks around here. What are you talking about? It's natural. Where show me some more blocks out here instead of these ones in a row moving in a particular direction, all squared and rectangled up. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ignorant, but we ain't that ignorant.
Well, no, I mean, just knowing from just how geology works and evolves, because we have it as a geological record. We're standing on the record that those rocks were placed there. They didn't.
So
they're not natural to the environment, as it were.
So are we going to find a different method for this pyramid's building, or is it going to be more like the Egyptians, or is it going to be like the Mesoamericans? I mean, it's two different styles where those pyramids were built. One's built out of trash and one's built out of big blocks. You got to kind of wonder. But you know what? When they talk about landing strips and other stuff for pyramids, I would land something on the ones in Giza. I wouldn't land nothing on the ones in South America. I don't know. Oh, you seen a German guy got arrested yesterday or the day before yesterday running up the Incan pyramid. He got his ass arrested. Yeah, he ran up to the top of it, and they ran up there and arrested him, drug him off. Yeah, they don't play with you going walking up their pyramids. Well, no, Jesse, what I mean by trash is so Mesoamerican pyramids are built from the ground up and with a big base.
They're much more ornate, for one thing.
They do, they put, it's like screens, and they just fill it up with stuff, and they pack it in with muds and stuff, and it just keep going. Yeah, it's kind of like building with stucco in the United States, but in reverse. Yeah, so they build something and they pack it up and it all packs in and becomes hard and solid and they just keep going. No, them pyramids are big. I'm not saying they're little. There's some huge ass pyramids in South America, but
the biggest pyramid on that we know of right now is the one at Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun.
Yes.
You guys.
Yes, she's pregnant with 5 babies.
I'm so ready to dive deep into my whatever dream world it is I'm going to slip into.
Go dreaming, because we're getting ready to get out of here because we got to go because Michelle will be taking over in about 8 minutes. That's Michelle DeRocher, ladies and girls.
Guys.
Well, you know where we are on Friday if you're going to come talk politics, scary girl, but we serious. Mike left crying last week, so
yeah.
Yeah, he got spanked. He had to leave crying.
I wanted to add that I heard this theory about why there's even a war going on in Ukraine because of some deal that was made in the 80s that I don't know. We'll go over it on Friday.
Yeah, remember this. So when you bring that up, remember this. There was a deal cut. Who was President Obama? Bush? Anyway, there was a deal cut that we would protect the Ukraine along with Europe after Crimea happened, and guess what? We didn't. We gave them the big finger. Oh no, people! I'm telling you all the truth. Check it out. But Friday night we're talking about that. We got to get out of here. Who does Michelle have on tonight? I knew you were going to ask me, Jimmy. You always ask me that.
Yeah, damn it! I didn't look.
Hold on. I'll go find out. Good night, Leah. Thanks for stopping by, sweetie.
Bye.
Give me a second. Well, I say that before something's blasting my eardrum out at the moment. Well, we don't care about the Chase Mobile app.
Informative. She doesn't have any guests, it seems like.
Where is that noise coming from?
Our various ET races interacting with. So it looks like something on ETs.
What was that?
Looks like something on. No, that's March 20th. Yeah.
Oh man, I just had it open. I was going to tell you, I dropped it down. Hold on, here it is.
Like
the Outer Realm, yeah. ET races interacting with humanity with
Dr.
Christopher Macklin.
Yeah.
He looks like an alien, people. Shh. Don't tell Michelle because she's scared of aliens. She says she's not, but she's really terrified of aliens, man. They scared the bejesus out of her.
They were talking about all kinds of aliens on tonight's show.
Yes, man. That's why she don't come over here. She gets all scared of aliens. Might get her in the middle of the night. Well, I told her they take her chihuahuas when they take her. That really pissed her off too, man. Ooh, she didn't like that idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we should have go check her out. She'll be on in about 6 minutes. Yeah. We're going to be leaving in 1 or 2 minutes, and she'll be on in 6 minutes. This archive will be available tomorrow. It might even be available tonight.
Yeah.
Depends on what I go do right now. I might go get something to eat, or I might come in here and play with this. Well, I meet Michelle at 10, so after her show, so I might put them up before that. No, everything's up. The station's up to date for everything. So if y'all want to watch anything, listen to anything, SoundCloud sucks for listenership, but everybody else is doing good. You're talking about StreamYard. StreamYard's doing pretty well. It's I've been not StreamYard, Rumble. I've been surprised by Rumble. Still ain't made no damn money off of Rumble, but
Well, yeah, well, we haven't off of YouTube either, but it's gone better than YouTube.
oh yeah, it's so we're at 3,138 views.
Of profiles yet.
Okay, so on this page, I think we've got 23,000 views with 155 followers.
Wow.
I know it sucks, don't it? That's what I'm saying, man. I actually know that Rumble's done pretty good. I've been happy with them. I'm not giving them any trouble. I don't actually know about that. But anyway, we got to go. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio. That's us, United Public Radio. And you are listening to UFO Undercover with Jay McNeil and Joe Montaldo, and Leah Dunbar just left us. Or Leah, watch this, she changed her last name. Should I'll have to see what it is. Yeah, Taco Girl. No, Leah's a sweetie pie, and she is a contactee. She's just, contactees have a hard time dealing with stuff that goes on in their life. It's well, they tend to attract stuff, for a lack of a better way of saying it. But anyway, on that note, we got to go again. Thanks for tuning in to United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. Jay and I will see you on Friday with Sean and Mike, and I think Pat said he was stopping by, and I think Giovanni stopping by, and somebody else said they were stopping by. We'll see. Whoever happens to be there will be there. That's all I can tell you. And of course, Saturday we will just be getting in trouble. This will be my last Saturday before I'm in Los Angeles. So after that, I'll be in LA for about a week, maybe a little more than a week. Down there, causing trouble, wreaking havoc. I go sit and talk with Mayor Bass about how Hollywood burned to the ground and why that happened. Stuff like that. And then I'll be working with Writers of the Future as well. I also got a meeting with somebody from NBC. Anyway, on that note, good night. Good night, and go check out The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche.